foot. But, these owners have got aspirations to take us right to the top. And if that ain't going quick enough, they will make decisions. They've shown that in the past as well. I genuinely mean this as well. I genuinely mean this. I hope that is Chris Davies. I hope it is. Welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. In this podcast, myself and Matt are going to do one of our unscripted podcasts where we just talk generally about what's going on at Birmingham City. And as we always say, there's never, ever a time when we're short of things to talk about at Birmingham City. Now, of course, this is the time where we are currently right towards the end of the January transfer window. And I think that a lot of the conversation is going to be about that in terms of what we've done and and what we think about the business to start with, and then we'll look at some maybe whatever's on our mind afterwards, Matt. So I think we couldn't really start this, Matt, without talking about the January transfer window generally. Yeah. If you look at some of the players that have gone out, I've got a list of players that have departed in this window, starting back with Dean Sanderson going to Derby County permanently, just before actually, wasn't it? Well, just right at the beginning of the January transfer window. Lyndon Dykes surprised me that he went on a permanent. I knew it was muted that he'd go out on loan, but good luck to him at Charlton. Mark Leonard went to Hearts in the Scottish Premier League on loan. Emil Hansen has departed for Excelsior in Rotterdam in the Dutch League permanently. Alphonse Samsted, he's joined Go Ahead Eagles on a permanent deal as well, back to the Dutch League. Keshi, we released him, didn't we? And he's found a new club in Portsmouth now. Good luck to him. Erin Cashin's loan was ended. Now he's at Blackburn on loan. And Luis Kumas as well. He's gone back to Liverpool. So a number of players there that have gone out, and I'm looking at those players that have gone out and thinking, I can see why they've gone out, because they weren't getting a lot of game time. They weren't really contributing or being picked very much. So what do you think on that?
I think the only one I kind of look at and think might be a little bit harsh in terms of... I can't believe we let him go, Dad. He scored an own goal 3 minutes into the Ipswich.
Was it you that told me somebody had, because we was at the game, weren't we? And so you texted me, didn't you? No, you showed me somebody's comment somebody had made at the time. He's actually scored more goals in the league than Keogh. Which is quite amusing.
But yeah, no, the big one that surprised me was actually Mark Leonard, just because he actually didn't do a lot wrong during his time at Blues. I think Chris Davies kind of had his favourites in the centre midfield, and obviously, it is what it is. I felt a little bit sorry for him. I think where we are as a club, we have to accept that we are now going to be getting a better calibre of player. And I think I referenced in a recent podcast I had about supporting Blues is kind of going to be watching Game of Thrones, where our favourite characters get killed off, so don't get attached to anyone too passionately. And I think we have to accept that, Dad. The calibre and the standard at this club is getting higher and higher. So we're going to have to accept from time to time we're going to lose those emotive transfers. And I think Lyndon Dykes, Dad, he's kind of become a little bit of a favourite of mine over the years. Again, wasn't a world-beating player, but I just loved the way he chucked people over, his physicality, he won headers. There were Keshi Anderson I liked, Dad. One of my favourite memories of last season was I was with my sister in Huddersfield away, and Keshi scored that screamer in Huddersfield. Lots of good memories through a lot of players. So I wish them all the best, genuinely. I surprised by a few of them, but I think we have to accept that we're after a different calibre of player now.
Yeah, you're right. I think what we've done, all the names I've just read out, is just a case now of recycling with better and higher quality, isn't it? So you would argue with Mark Leonard. I agree with you. And anybody who watches our podcast on a regular basis knows that myself and Matt are real big Mark Leonard fans. But he weren't getting the team. And now you look at, okay, we brought in John Solis, and think, well, he's only played a few games, or a little bit cameo appearances, but he looks solid and compact. And say, well, he would have been more competition for Mark Leonard. I'm glad as well that Mark Leonard didn't go to another Championship club as well, because he would have been, if he was alone, he wouldn't have been able to play against us anyway. But he would have been contributing to somebody else's league and season, wouldn't it, as well? But I think the likes of Cashin and Kumas, I think everybody agreed that those loans didn't work, so they had to go back.
Yes.
So they're the players that have gone out, and obviously we booked some quality in as well, haven't we? And I think the signings that we're going for now look like proper quality signings that should really enhance the team. As well, at the time this goes out, this podcast, the window is going to still be open until Monday, the 2nd of February, I think it is. So there's a few days left. I think we'll see. Let me ask you a question then, Matt. Did you think can you see anybody else going out? Is anybody else vulnerable to going, do you think?
I think if we do get rid of any more, we have covered a bit of ground now. I think during the first week in January, I was like, blimey neck, we need to get some players in, because everyone was dropping like flies and we weren't getting anyone in. Thankfully, we filled a few gaps now, so I'm a little less nervous for the second half of the season. It's a good question. I can't think off the top of my head. No red bells are going. I think this person's vulnerable, but I think we will see in a couple of more additions, Dad. I think we'll see a left-footed centre back.
That was my next question. So
Yeah.
what else do we need? What's going to come in?
I think we'll see a left-sided centre back, and I think we might see a number 10. But the number 10, if we get a left-footed centre back and a number 10, that is like the cherry on the top of a fantastic January transfer window. I think a left-sided centre-back is way more pressing. I think that's quite urgent because I think we've referenced on previous podcasts, Dad, even recently with the Oxford video, about us being a bit more vulnerable at the back this season. And I think that will level us out so much more, a bit more of a companion to go aside Clara with a left foot. And for me, Dad, if we can get a really creative number 10, we're in for an exciting second half of the season for sure. But for me, Dad, left side centre back and maybe a number 10.
Yeah, I mean, Blues always tend to come up with a few surprises, but I think we've done our business quite early this time, which is nice. You know, we haven't got to panic at the end of the transfer window. But you do. We definitely need a left side centre back. I said, previously in recent podcasts that I think our defence is real. I think it needs surgery, and I think that we'll get to. Well, I'm being serious. I think we need, because our defence, I don't think is where it needs to be for where we want to be. I do think we need a new goalkeeper. That's probably going to happen in the summer now.
I agree.
I think we need a top quality goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And I think the right back position is also a problem for me. As good as the Water is, and as where he's been played out of what you would say his natural position, he's not a right back for me.
I think Asoi Samuel was the hope, but that hasn't quite panned out as it. I mean, he was like the next coming of Cafu against Ipswich, and then suddenly he's gone off the ball a bit. So that hasn't quite worked out. And I agree, Dad. Awata is not a right back for me.
Yeah,
he's far too aggressive going forward. I think that's instructional. By the way, whenever we say this, it's not a dig at Awata. He's a good player.
Yeah,
he's definitely got ability. I've not got no problems with Awata. It's the way he's instructed to play at right back is my problem.
Yeah, I think we do need to look at right back. Obviously, Ethan Laird is to come back, but we've got to keep him fit because when he goes out for ages, doesn't he? Injuries. I mean, he's been injured so many times.
Since the cough game?
Yeah, and he's a good player, and if he could stay fit, I would be really happy with that because I think he's that top player that we'd really want. But
in fact, that I think Ethan Laird will only be hampered in his career as a footballer by his injuries. He has.
Yeah, but that's a pretty big thing, isn't it?
No, but my point is though, he could have a really good career in the Premier League, I think.
Yeah.
If he keeps developing in the way he was at Blues, but he won't get there if he just sits on the injury table all the time.
But with his position, he's going to be prone to injuries because he's up and down that pitch the whole game. I know all the other players run around, but he's got a burst of pace, isn't he? So he's going to be vulnerable to it. I just hope we can find a way of keeping him fit because I think it really scuppers us at right back. I don't think of what is the answer, but because of the midfield we've now got, we've got Solis in there, Pake, Tommy Doyle. If he doesn't play Awata at right back, he'd have to play him in midfield, which means one of those players would drop out. And I think that's the issue, isn't it, really? So I think we definitely need a goalkeeper, definitely need a right back to cover, a proper right back to cover Laird. I mean, it could be Bright. I mean, if Bright can get back to that player that we saw in the first few games and what we saw at AFCON, it could be him, but you've got to do it consistently. You can't do what he did before he went to AFCON. Yeah.
We can't be having liabilities. No. Because especially when we are vulnerable already, we can't be having another loose cog in the chain.
If we can get a solid defence, Matt, that can stop us conceding stupid goals, I think we'll be a proper team. I do, but we are always nervous when a team attacks us. Always, aren't we? Yeah. And that's what really worries me. Okay, so would you say? It's a leading question, really. Do you think we've done good business in January?
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, in fact, it has gone above my expectations. I think we've spent some money. The pressure's now on Davies, and I think we referenced it recently. I can't remember what video it was, Dad. We said we're now going to see what Chris Davies is made of in terms of you don't buy these players and then expect shoehorn them into your style. You have to make slight changes and adaptations. So I think we've made some incredible signings, some really good business. Now, in all seriousness, let's see what Chris Davies has got to make this work and get the best out of them. Because Tom Wagner, Dad, Craig Gardner, these people who are putting their neck on the line for these transfers, their money on the line for these transfers, they're not going to be happy if they come down and see us, passing it side to side for 90 minutes. We need to now start moving to that progressive style of football in terms of being a bit more creative and adventurous in the final third. It doesn't mean holding on to the ball at all costs, coming away with 70% possession and losing 1-0. What's the point in that? If anything, Dad, channel his kind of Nathan Jones a little bit? Is John Eustace a little bit? Or,
On occasions,
on
yes.
occasion, sure. I'm not saying let's change our principles, but there are certain games where you need to change slightly, and I think this will now test him.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Davies' philosophy is like a bear hunt. The kids' song. We're going on a bear hunt. He's like, we're going on a gold hunt. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You've got to go through it. That's what the song is. Well, you can't do that anymore. I think with the players that we've bought, we've got to go over it. We've got to go over it because, we need, you do. There's no point in bringing in quality players who have got certain attributes and then trying to fit them, like you've just mentioned, into our current style of play. We've got to use, they're good at this. If that's a player that can run at pace, we pass the ball over to them. And I think, as you say, I think this will now be a test for Chris Davies because I think that the club have invested heavily again in January and they'll want some indication of that we are significantly improving. As I say, I do think, though, I don't think we're there yet because I think our defence needs an overhaul.
And also, Dad, again, I'm not singling players out here, but I am going to use an example. But if you look at Wagner away at Swansea, and by the way, Wagner's been fantastic since he came here. I'm just making a point. We make a lot of individual errors at the back as well. Like Neumann's been caught out a few times. Wagner made a mistake against Swansea. Even Clara's been a little bit clumsy sometimes. And, Watts has been caught so many times by being far up the pitch. So not only are we not solid as the basics, we are making silly mistakes on top of that.
No, I completely agree. But Wagner, for example, was brilliant against Coventry. It was terrible, not terrible. He wasn't as good against Swansea. Sorry, not terrible. That's very, very harsh. But he made that mistake that led to their first goal.
Then he was fantastic again in the
next
game.
And he was absolutely brilliant, wasn't he, in the last game against Sheffield Wednesday? So, but then this is it. So what does that take? Consistency, right? So therefore, all the players that can't do that. You can't afford to have a bad game in this league, particularly in defence, isn't it? So good business. I agree with you. I think we've done good business in January, and I'm looking forward to seeing now what we can do for the second half of the season.
To be fair, Dad, you don't prepare for these because these are unscripted, but you always have a few questions in your mind that you always ask me, and the one's just popped up now. We've spoken about the transfer window. We've spoken about a little bit more pressure on Chris Davies then. What do you think when Tom Wagner's in the boardroom with all his cronies and they're talking money and they're talking about Birmingham City, where do you think he's going to expect us to finish at the end of the season?
He wants promotion, Matt. He wants promotion. He wants promotion. He's a winner, isn't he? And we could sit here and say, well, we are currently, as we sit, we're 13th in the league and, we're 5 points off the playoffs, and he'll turn around and say, well, I'm investing all this money now. You've got a better team. Go and do it for me. And I do think it's good, like you said, and I think it's crucial that we just highlight that point. This is now a test for Chris Davies. This is now a test. He's got players now that have been brought in that look like good players. He's the one that's got to get the best out of them as well. And I do think that if things don't go the way that Tom Wagner and the board want, I think they'll look at things I do from the manager's perspective.
In the summer, maybe, after review, sort of after the season.
I really do, because they won't want to hang around in the Championship. I'm really pleased to be back in the Championship. Obviously, we had a season in League One last season. We are more competitive, but then we should be because we can't spend a lot of money and we're a better team. But these owners have got aspirations to take us right to the top, and if that ain't going quick enough, they will make decisions. They've shown that in the past as well. I genuinely mean this as well. I hope that is Chris Davies. I hope it is. But if it's not, then they will bring somebody else in. But then which is another conversation for another podcast. But then, who is it you bring in?
So, Dad, I'm going to put you on the spot for one final question then about the end of the season. Where do you think, after January, after everything we've done, what's your final position? Or what do you think we can get towards the end of the season? Then what's your final position?
Based upon what we've done in January and brought in better quality players, I think we'll finish in the top half. I think we could tinker with maybe for that last playoff place. But I think with the quality of standard of the teams in this league at the moment, I'm probably going to go for about an 8th or a 9th finish. In my opinion, I hope we get to I'm not saying we can't do it, but I'm just saying based on what I've seen and the quality of the teams in this league already, I think some teams are ahead of us still.
I know this is a really simple way to kind of answer this question. It hangs in the balance of our away form. If we can up those numbers and get a couple of away wins, that playoff position does start to look a lot more achievable, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And at the time of recording, we haven't been to Oxford away. That's a big game away from home. We have, we have had a couple of big ones in terms of Swansea, Sheffield Wednesday. We didn't lose. We got a point on the road. Very constructive. carries on the momentum of this season. But if we can just convert a couple of them to the 3 points and get a couple of wins, it does start to take the pressure off the home form. You do start to climb. It only takes a couple of wins to climb and a couple of losses to drop, doesn't it? The Championship is that tight.
Yeah.
And as I said, I think this all hangs in the balance now of the away form and whether Chris Davies can make those little fine tweaks to get the best out of the players we have.
Yeah.
And I am in the same camp as you, Dad. I think if it all went well and we start picking up points on the road, in my thoughts, we wouldn't finish any higher than 6th. It would be a nab of the last one. But I think this season, to push on next season, we'll finish sort of 8th or 9th.
Yeah, I think we'll rebuild again in the summer. I think there'll be obviously all the loans will be sorted out, and we will move and push forward. Just a couple of points, mate. It was nice to see the tributes to Robert Hopkins and to Arthur Libinjo Hughes at the Stoke game. It's always very emotional. I do find it emotional. I mean, as a parent yourself, as a parent, I'm sure lots of other a lot of people got kids too, and I think we should remember Arthur because what happened to him was absolutely devastating and appalling, and we should always remember that because we've got to remember moral responsibilities as human beings to look after each other.
Well, my son was 1 when that happened, and I remember it really hit me hard because obviously Arthur was 6 at the time, so my son was eventually on the path to grow into that, looking like how Arthur will, and I was just absolutely devastated by it all. And the fact that we do that every year, and the away fans join in, the ref stops the game. The top gets lifted after the goal and stuff.
Well done to the Stoke fans as well for being part of that as well. It does make a massive difference to have the whole stadium, and also Robert Hopkins. Nice tribute to him at the start of the Stoke game as well. And as I say, he's a player I remember really, really well, and such a sad loss really, and not that old as well. So
also, Dad, that was at Swansea. For those that weren't there, we did pay tribute at Swansea away as well.
Yes, we did.
There was a couple of songs, but of course at St.Andrews it was the official memorial, so to speak. But at Swansea there were some songs around, and people were almost like treating it like a celebration of life, which was nice because it was more like singing his name and almost being down the memory path. Actually, the Blues fans treated it like a celebration at Swansea, which was quite nice actually.
Well, the songs, they were what we used to sing on the terraces in the old St.Andrews when he was playing. So it was fantastic to hear them again. But there's a very, very sad loss, and I'm glad we remembered him like that as well. Final mention for the ladies team. They second in the WSL behind Charlton, playing the same game. So Charlton are 5 points ahead, but this season 2 teams are promoted to the WSL. So Blues are in second on 25 points, and below them they have Bristol City on 23 points, but they've played a game more. So they're doing well. The Blues ladies. They also beat Hull City in the Cup 6-1, and they've drawn Chatham. Chatham Town have got their fixtures here. I think they've drawn Chatham Town in the next round of the it is Chatham Town at home. That's on the 21st of February at 5:15. They've got some interesting games. So they've still got to play Bristol City away, which is the team that's just below them, and there's got to be a rearranged fixture for. Oh no, it's not. It's time. It's the last game of the season is away at Charlton. But this season, if they finish in the top 2, they go up to the actual WSL. So they're doing very well, and I noticed as well lots of new signings in the transfer window as well for Blues ladies. So I think once again Tom Wagner has put his hand in his pocket and Nighthead, and they're really giving the ladies a bit of a push to get them.
Well, he's bought the club, not just the men's team, hasn't he? So he's putting his money where his mouth is, as you just said, and great to see them doing well. And to be fair, I always have notifications on my phone because I've got the Blues app, and it's always popping up: goal for Birmingham City women, goal for Birmingham City women. So I mean, they must be scoring a decent amount of goals.
Well, last 2 games, they've scored 10.
Exactly,
six away at Hull and then four away at Portsmouth.
Because the notifications just go nuts, and it's like, wow, they're scoring a lot of goals. So great to see, Dad, as you said, they invested in the academy and the women and the men, and the whole of Birmingham City. So we want the whole club to do well. So onwards and upwards.
Yeah, fantastic. I've got nothing else to say, but we welcome your comments, Birmingham City supporters. I think the main focus of this discussion has been on the transfer window, which I think is natural for where we are. But there's always plenty going on at Blues, isn't it? And we'd love to have your opinion. So add your comments below. Let us know what you think about anything about the transfer window, about anything that's going on at the club. Pop a comment below. Myself and Matt are always happy to read those comments. If you did like this podcast, then don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll find us on there as well. And you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all these channels right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel you'd like to, and there really is no obligation to subscribe, but if you'd like to, hit that big red subscribe button. And if you hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button, you'll get notified the minute we put our podcasts out. So that's it for this one. Myself and Matt, see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.